So it's my great pleasure to introduce Fred Jass, who will be talking to us today. He's from, he lives in Montreal, and he was part of the New John Main there, and was part of the early community there, and was present also at the New Harmony seminar where WCCM was founded. What was that, 91? And the anniversary, we're in the anniversary now of that. Anyway, so he's going to be speaking on meditation is the seed of love.
Good morning to all people, good afternoon, and perhaps good evening. In prayer, we are all one. Meditation is the seed of love, and God looks always after his seeds. Trusting the stories you meditators have told me, I like to share my stories and experiences with you. In 1953, in Germany at that time, the scars of the wars were still visible in Europe. I go back to 1938. I lived with my grandmother in Hindenburg, Germany, close to the border of Poland, about 60 kilometers west of Krakow. My mother worked in an ammunition factory in Lübeck, Germany, near Denmark. I grew up wherever I was. When the church bell rang at 6 p.m., I was running to the little altar in the living room of my grandmother and praying the Angelus for Mary experience. One day my mom came for a visit and told me later she thought I will become insane in that environment, and she has to get me out in this prayerful, loving environment I lived in. I lived in a prayerful environment. She worked in an ammunition factory in a destructive environment. And later I realized that the way and where you live, you think alike. I was in a prayerful environment, she in a destructive environment.
Well, one moment, Fred, I've had a couple of requests that you move closer to the microphone. So there's a couple of people can't hear. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
In Germany, we say, or in German, we are thinking, but God is guiding. Der Mensch denkt und Gott lenkt. I read a book about the nice wilderness of Canada in early '53. And I got an invitation to go to the Canadian consulate in Hanover early June. Friday afternoon, one day when I came from work, it was before I had my meeting, my mother said to me, "Did you read what you need?" I thought I go as I am and everything will be all right. But she says, no. You need a proof that you paid your taxes. You need that from your employer. You need a passport. You need an X-ray. And you need a tax clearance certificate from your employer. Wow, that was a lot to do. So I went to my boss. At that time it was 6 p.m. Meister Hans Dirks. I said, Hans, I need this, that my taxes are paid up to date. Yes, I got them. Then I went to my friend, school friend. He said, Peter, I need a passport. He says, yeah, you can get it in 3 weeks. I said, no, I need it tomorrow. He said, you're crazy. But have you got 2 passport pictures? I said, yes. Then I went on the telephone booth and phoned the famous doctor, Dr. Bertel, which was in a sanatorium 7 kilometers uphill to the mountain. And the secretary answered, and I told her I need an X-ray. She said, yes, I have an appointment in 3 weeks. I said, no, I need it tomorrow. And I heard the phone falling on the floor, and she's saying, Doctor, there is a man on the phone who wants to go to Canada, has an appointment Monday morning, and he needs an X-ray. He said, yes, let him come at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I bicycled up, and I was there. I got my passport, and then I had to go 20 kilometers downhill by bike to the Federal Tax Clearance Department. At the door, J, I knocked, and the man with an ex-officer military uniform, stripped of all metal, said, yeah, you can have it. Pick it up in 6 weeks. He said, no, I need it now. The way he looked at me, I thought a grenade exploded near his desk. He said, what do you think? What do you think? Go. And I did not. I was sitting. At this moment, a nicely dressed person in civil suit came in and said, well, in another hour, you can go home, enjoy the nice day and weekend. And as he turned around, he made eye contact. He asked this officer, what is this man doing here? He said, yeah. He thinks he needs a tax clearance certificate. I told him he can come in 6 weeks and he won't go. What to do? He said, well, he looked at my papers and said to him, go to Dr. B.A. door 300 and get the signature here. Then go to see Dr. B, give him my regards, and get the signature here. So when he came back, he walked in the corridor, as we were trying to knock at the door. A nice dressed man came out with paper on his arm, most likely to another meeting, and my escort said, Professor Dr. So-and-so, this young man wants to go to Canada, has an appointment Monday morning in Hanover. Could you sign here? He looked at me and signed. The nice man gave me a tap on my shoulder and said, have a nice trip. Later I realized it was like a miracle. And the saying goes, we are thinking, but God is guiding. This impossible thing, which I think is unbelievable, was fulfilled. I got an appointment in Hanover, and I was to go to Canada in early June 1953. Later I realized that what happened to me was really an important thing. We are saying God is guiding, but we are to obey. Christ said, knock at the door, and the door will be open. He never said it opens all the way. So it's up to us to do the job of Christ. I met my wife in Montreal on a Saturday evening dance. Not only did she dance the waltz, but she could also speak German because he grew up in Vienna, Austria. Magda met Father John the first time and taught he gave in Montreal. And she is an oblate since 1981. I became an oblate in March 1994 and enjoy the experience and benefit of the silence and stillness meditation brings. John Lane said, word into silence. I think what all of us have to learn is not so much that we meditate, we have to create silence. The silence is in us and within us. What we have to do is to enter into it. Because silence is given. The purpose of meditation and the challenge of silence it gives. Meditation is to allow ourselves to become silent enough. To allow this internal in us to emerge. The prayers and the churches are getting emptier, but the football stadium and the soccer stadiums are getting fuller, where we find no silence and peace. The millions of prayers are everywhere in the churches. In Montreal, I said to our bishop at the Loyola Chapel, there are millions of prayers in the ceiling and walls in the room and church we are in. And mostly special those who wrote their exams and hope that they pass. And he said to me, some of my prayers are there as well. Luke 4:2 stated that Jesus, after being baptized by John, went into the wilderness for 40 days. Saint Benedict left in a cave for 3 years. John Main learned meditation from a Swami in India and was helped to meditate with stillness and in silence, but taught us, John Main, to go into our inner cave of the heart and say the mantra. During my pilgrimage in February 23rd, 2019, to the Holy Land, the vision to Mount Tabor made a tremendous impression on me. I could feel Luke 9:29, 31, the vision of Peter, James, and John, and believed the reality of the story that Jesus became glory white, and that Elijah and Moses were speaking to him and his department. I felt that prayers are rising and criminality are falling. I think it takes 7 prayers to clean the air of one life. How many does it take to clean the air of criminality? I got lost on the mountain, disoriented, and the people were waiting for me to come to the bus to take us down. A woman came and was looking for me because the bus had to leave. To be alive is the care of a mother, or a mother to be, who cares, is helpful, and gives pleasure to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is giving us a lot of pleasure to enjoy the warmth on Earth it gives us. When John Main was dying, I kissed his forehead and said, "I love you, Brother John." He wanted to open his eyes, and I realized how much energy it takes just to open your eyes. Father Lawrence also is a modern monk. For the vision and work he performed. The seed was planted in Montreal, and the WCCM was opened in August 1991 in New Harmony, and is growing in stillness and silence and prayers, due to the care, love, and trust and forgiveness which meditation brings to all of us. That John Main created. I will close my poem I said at the closing of our pilgrimage, February 23, 2019. and I called it oneness. Because indeed, in prayer, we are all one. We are one in spirit, in love and care to one another and to the world and environment around. And I say, see what love will do. Find the vibration of kindness. Care for what you get and receive. Enjoy the given. Stillness will guide you to share love and be loved. The energy to heal. And thank you for the opportunity to be with you in prayer and guidance and health and love to one another. Thank you for the opportunity that stillness creates love and kindness. Stadiums do not create love but pleasure, but not stillness and kindness, because you see quite often people getting hurt. But meditation does that not. It just is kind and forgiving. Have a nice day. God bless our Mother Earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fred, for your sharing with us the miracle of your being able to leave Germany after the war. I know it was very difficult to my mother was also brought up then and in Germany, and she got out to Sweden, but you got all the way to Montreal, so that was a great achievement. And thank you for your reflections and the memory of Father John on his deathbed. It's very touching, and your some of your little bits of wisdom. I love to knock at the door and the door will be opened, but Jesus never said all the way. We have to give a little push. Anyway, now before we close the prayer, we have another contribution from Philomena Phillips from the UK Oblate community, who's going to share her personal experience for 5 minutes or so on Christian meditation. This is one of the sharings that we have sometimes at the end of the talks. So I hand over to Philomena, who spoke, gave one of the talks some months ago, so remember her.
Thank you, Stefan. I grew up in a Catholic family, and although I was very conscious of God as being a judging God, I never ever heard of him being a loving God. And when I was a teenager, I realized that there was a longing within my heart for something, but the Mass wasn't helping me at all. And all I knew to do about being with God was to go to Mass. So I stopped going to Mass when I was 16. And when I was 18, I left home to train as a nurse and came to London. And the people I trained with were evangelical Christians, a group of about 5 people. And we became very good friends. And they were a bit suspicious of me being a Catholic, and I was a bit suspicious of them. But as we got to know one another, and I realized that when they talked about God, they talked about somebody they knew personally, whereas I knew, when I talked about God, I knew about him. And it was a really striking thing for me to recognize that they seemed to have a relationship with God that was very personal. They prayed and he answered their prayers. And they were very committed to converting me and helping me to become a Christian. So I didn't take much notice of that, but they gave me a Bible to read and were obviously praying for me in their little group. And I was reading the Gospel of John one evening on my own in the nurse's home. And I was just completely overwhelmed with a sense of God loving me. And I just found myself crying and crying for a long time. And the sensation of being loved and held by God stayed with me. And most of my life I spent in evangelical and charismatic churches until 2010, when I had a crisis in my life and I joined a small group at Cockfosters, which was being led, and it was about looking at different kinds of spirituality. And the group supported me during that time. But at the same time, I met Rita McKenna, who invited me to a meditation group. And I didn't really know much about meditation, thought it was very suspicious, but started going to the meditation group and started helping out at the Cockfoster Centre for Spirituality. And going to the meditation group introduced me to a whole different way of experiencing God and experiencing him in the silence and the stillness. And for me, one of the main benefits of meditation has been helping me to reconcile the journey that I've been on with God in the stillness and recognizing that he has been with me throughout my life. And that whereas in most of my churches, it's been about doing things in order to get rewards and outcomes, I've discovered in meditation it's about being, and being grateful for the Spirit of God living within me, who has been nurturing me and caring for me throughout my life. So that now it's about being at peace, and when I look back on my life, I can see it as a different narrative I don't recognize, and remember all of the struggles and the difficulties and the abuses in many ways that I've experienced. I've seen it all through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, of him being with me and actually holding on to me and helping me to recognize him within me in a way that I was never able to before. And as some of you know who saw me recently, I joined the Oblate cell group for a while and then felt led to join the Oblate path and became an Oblate 18 months ago. And one of the blessings of lockdown for me has been the opportunity to feel embedded within the Oblate community more than I had before. And I feel as though I have come home to myself, and I have found a home in which to be nurtured and blessed. So I'm very grateful to all of you and for the journey that I've been on, because I'm who I am now because of everything that I've been through, and I can see it as a blessing rather than a negative. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Philomena, and beautiful sharing and encouragement for all of us to come forward to offer a sharing. I think it's lovely that we're able to all of us are able to share our experience, and yours is one that has borne great fruit. I know that the Oblate community in Cockfosters is flourishing. Wonderful. And I'll hand back to our prayer leaders to finish our gathering with prayer. So to Albert and Josephine.
May the divine assistance remain always with us.
And with our absent brothers and sisters.
Amen.
Amen.
We've come to that time once again where we have to leave one another. But what a wonderful morning we've had this morning. Well, day, I forget that you're all in different time zones, but what a wonderful hour we have spent together. Thank you so much, Albert and Josephine, for leading us this morning. And thank you, Fred, for that wonderful sharing your wisdom and part of your life and your knowledge of Father John as well. That was a real treat for us. And Philomena, thank you too for sharing with us this morning about your journey. It was wonderful to hear, and thank you very much indeed. So thank you now to, oh, Stefan, I nearly forgot you. Thank you very much for keeping us all together and all right this morning, so thank you. And thank you to everybody who's been here this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. So God bless. Have a good week.
Bye.
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 God bless.
Bye.
Take care.
Bless you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice week.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.